Respect is one of the most valuable currencies in human relationships. It isn't something you demand, it's something you earn. And in the same way that respect is built through positive habits, it can be torn down by negative ones. Let's explore 4 destructive habits that, if left unchecked, will cause people to lose respect for you. Respect is one of the most valuable assets we can possess in our relationships, both personally and professionally. However, it's not something that is handed to us or something we can demand. Respect is earned through consistent behavior, and the habits we practice daily play a crucial role in how others view us. Positive habits can build respect, while negative ones can erode it over time. Among the most destructive habits that lead to a loss of respect is the lack of integrity. Integrity forms the foundation of any relationship built on trust. It is the alignment between what you say and what you do. People judge you based on whether your actions reflect your words. When your behavior is consistent with your values, and when you do what you say you will do, people begin to trust you. That trust in turn fosters respect. However, when your actions don't match your promises, when you consistently fail to follow through on commitments, the trust others place in you begins to crumble. One of the most common ways people lose respect is by breaking promises, whether big or small. It may seem insignificant to cancel a meeting at the last minute or to not deliver on a task you promised to complete, but each of these instances chips away at the trust others have in you. Over time, even small instances of unreliability can snowball into a reputation for being untrustworthy. Once that reputation takes hold, it's incredibly difficult to reverse. People will begin to doubt whether they can count on you, and this doubt is the breeding ground for disrespect. Consider the way people react when you keep your word versus when you don't. When you consistently do what you say you will do, people not only trust you, but they begin to see you as someone they can rely on in times of need. Your word becomes valuable because they know you will honor it. They are more likely to respect you because they recognize that you have the strength of character to follow through, even when it's inconvenient or difficult. On the other hand, when your word means little because you frequently fail to deliver, people are less inclined to respect you. They might listen to you, but they won't take you seriously. Your promises lose their weight, and so does your credibility. Integrity is also crucial in how we manage our relationships. When you are consistent in your values and principles, people can trust that you won't betray their confidence. They know that if you say something in private, it will align with what you say in public. Inconsistent behavior, particularly when it involves dishonesty or deceit, will destroy relationships faster than almost anything else. Whether in business or in personal relationships, trust is paramount, and without integrity, there is no trust. When people feel they can't trust you, respect quickly evaporates. Another aspect of integrity that often goes unnoticed is how you handle mistakes or difficult situations. No one is perfect, and everyone fails at some point. But how you deal with failure is a direct reflection of your integrity. When you make a mistake, owning up to it, taking responsibility, and making amends are all signs of strong character. People respect those who are honest about their shortcomings and who are willing to do the hard work of repairing any damage done. On the other hand, people lose respect for those who try to cover up their mistakes, shift blame onto others, or refuse to acknowledge their role in a problem. Trying to evade responsibility only highlights a lack of integrity, and once again, trust is lost. It's important to understand that maintaining integrity often requires making difficult choices. There will be times when it's easier to tell a white lie or to avoid fulfilling a commitment because it's inconvenient. However, those small choices are what define your character over time. People are always watching, even when you don't realize it. The decisions you make in private have just as much impact on your reputation as the ones you make in public. Integrity is about consistency. It's about being the same person in every situation. When people see that your actions are in harmony with your words and that you uphold your values regardless of the circumstances, they respect you for it. Ultimately, integrity isn't just about avoiding dishonesty. It's about building a solid reputation based on trustworthiness, reliability, and authenticity. It's about being someone others can look up to and rely on because they know that your word means something. Losing respect through a lack of integrity is a slow process. But once it happens, it's incredibly difficult to regain. People may forgive, but they rarely forget. That's why it's essential to guard your integrity with everything you have. Integrity is a choice. It's a habit, one that needs to be practiced every day in the small decisions and actions that define our lives. The way you build respect is by being consistent in your words and actions, standing by your principles, and following through on your commitments. If you want to be respected, let your life be a reflection of your values, and let your integrity be the cornerstone of your reputation. Inconsistent behavior is one of the most damaging habits that erode respect in both personal and professional relationships. People are naturally drawn to individuals they can rely on, trust, and predict in terms of behavior. Consistency in one's actions, emotions, and decisions plays a critical role in building this trust. When your behavior is erratic or inconsistent, it not only causes confusion, but also leads to a breakdown in how others perceive and relate to you. This inconsistency disrupts the sense of stability and reliability, which are essential for earning and maintaining respect. One of the key elements people look for in others, especially in leaders, is emotional consistency. When someone is unpredictable in how they react to situations, one day calm and understanding, the next easily agitated or hostile, it creates an environment of uncertainty. People start to walk on eggshells around you, never knowing which version of you they're going to encounter. This instability breeds mistrust. They begin to question your ability to handle stress, challenges, and conflicts. Emotional consistency doesn't mean being emotionless. It means managing your emotions in a way that people can depend on you to be composed, especially during difficult times. Consider the impact of unpredictable behavior in a professional setting. A leader who is inconsistent in their reactions and decisions creates confusion within a team. If one day they are praising an employee's efforts and the next day reprimanding them for the same actions, it leaves the team unsure of what is expected. This type of inconsistency not only undermines respect, but also weakens the team's overall performance. Employees may start second-guessing their decisions, become less proactive, or disengage altogether. Respect is built when people know they can count on you to be fair, balanced, and consistent, no matter the situation. Inconsistency in behavior also reveals itself through accountability, or rather, the lack of it. A person who shifts their standards or rules depending on convenience loses credibility quickly. When you fail to take responsibility for your actions or blame external circumstances when things don't go well, it signals to others that you lack integrity. People respect those who own up to their mistakes and learn from them, but they lose respect for those who deflect blame or change their tune depending on what benefits them in the moment. Being consistent in how you handle success, failure, and responsibility is critical for maintaining respect. Another aspect of inconsistency is how it manifests in decision-making. Imagine someone who constantly changes their mind, moving from one position to another without a clear rationale. It makes it difficult for others to trust their judgment or follow their lead. When decisions are made based on whims, rather than careful thought or grounded principles, it signals to others that you are unreliable. People respect leaders, friends, and colleagues who make decisions based on a consistent set of values and who can be trusted to stick to those decisions. Consistent decision-making shows that you have a clear sense of direction and that you are not easily swayed by external pressures or temporary emotions. In personal relationships, inconsistency can be just as damaging. Imagine a friend who is supportive and present one moment, but distant and dismissive the next. You would begin to question whether they truly value the relationship or if they are merely behaving based on their convenience. This type of inconsistency chips away at trust. When someone's behavior is unpredictable, it becomes harder to rely on them. And over time, the respect you once had for that person diminishes. The root of consistent behavior often lies in self-discipline and self-awareness. People who are consistent in how they treat others, how they manage their emotions, and how they make decisions are typically more disciplined and aware of their impact on those around them. They take the time to reflect on their actions, understand their motivations, and ensure that they are not acting impulsively or out of alignment with their values. They understand that consistency is not just about how they feel in the moment, but about the long-term impact their behavior has on the trust and respect of those around them. Being consistent doesn't mean you can never change your mind or adjust your behavior based on new information. What it does mean is that you approach situations with a steady hand and a clear framework of principles. When change is necessary, it is done thoughtfully and communicated transparently so that others can understand and trust the process. In contrast, inconsistency without explanation or clear reasoning leaves people feeling disconnected and unsure of where they stand. At its core, consistent behavior fosters a sense of safety and security. People respect those who are stable because they know they can depend on them. When your actions align with your words, when your emotional responses are measured, and when your decisions are rooted in clear values, you create an environment where trust can flourish. Inconsistent behavior, on the other hand, creates confusion, breeds distrust, and ultimately leads to a loss of respect. To avoid the pitfalls of inconsistency, it's essential to cultivate self-awareness and self-discipline. Take the time to reflect on your actions, ensure that they align with your values, and strive to be someone others can rely on. Whether in your personal relationships or professional endeavors, consistency in behavior is one of the most important habits for building and maintaining respect. Without it, you risk alienating those around you, diminishing your credibility, and losing the respect you've worked so hard to earn. Another deeply damaging habit that leads to a loss of respect is constantly seeking approval from others. This habit may seem harmless on the surface, but it reflects a lack of confidence and self-assurance that people can easily sense. When you continuously look for validation from those around you, you project insecurity, and over time, others may begin to see you as less capable or even unreliable. Respect stems from self-assurance, and when you allow the opinions of others to dictate your actions and self-worth, you erode the foundation of respect that you are trying to build. One of the main problems with constantly seeking approval is that it demonstrates a lack of confidence in your own abilities and decisions. When you are always looking for external validation before you make a move, you give the impression that you don't trust yourself. People respect those who have the courage to make decisions independently and who are confident in their own judgment. When you hesitate and look around for reassurance, you send the message that you are unsure, and that uncertainty can diminish your authority in the eyes of others. Consider how people respond to leaders who frequently ask for approval versus those who confidently make decisions. Leaders who are constantly checking with their team for validation may seem approachable at first, but over time their indecisiveness becomes a weakness. Team members may lose faith in their ability to lead because they're always looking for reassurance rather than trusting their instincts and knowledge. On the other hand, leaders who make decisions with conviction, who rely on their expertise and experience, gain the respect of their team. They are seen as confident, competent, and trustworthy, even if they make mistakes along the way. People respect decisiveness because it reflects strength and confidence in oneself. Another way seeking approval manifests is through people-pleasing behavior. When you are constantly trying to please others, it often means you are sacrificing your own needs, opinions, or values to fit in or be liked. This may work in the short term, as people may appreciate your accommodating nature, but in the long run, people pleasers often lose respect. Others begin to see them as inauthentic or lacking conviction because they are always bending to the will of those around them. Respect is built on authenticity. People admire those who stand firm in their values and opinions, even when it's unpopular. When you give up who you are just to win approval, you lose the very qualities that garner respect. In personal relationships, constantly seeking approval can lead to imbalance. If one partner is always looking to the other for validation, it can create a dynamic where one person holds more power. The person constantly seeking approval may start to feel diminished or dependent, while the other person may lose respect for them. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, and when one person is always looking for validation, the dynamic shifts. It becomes less about equality and more about approval seeking, which can cause resentment and a lack of respect over time. Seeking approval also keeps you from taking risks or trying new things. When you are focused on how others will perceive you or your actions, you may hesitate to step outside of your comfort zone. This fear of judgment can stifle your growth, both personally and professionally. People respect those who are willing to take bold steps, even if they fail. Courage is respected far more than caution rooted in the fear of disapproval. When you make decisions based on what others think, you limit your potential and lose opportunities to prove your capabilities. And in doing so, you diminish the respect others have for you because they see that you are driven by fear rather than self-assurance. It's also important to understand that constantly seeking approval can lead to inconsistency in your behavior. When you're always trying to adapt to what you think others want or expect, you may change your behavior, opinions, or decisions to align with the people you're trying to please at the moment. This inconsistency can confuse those around you and make them question whether you have a solid sense of self. People respect those who are consistent in their principles and actions. If you're always shifting based on who you're around, it signals that you lack a strong core of values, and this will undermine the respect you're trying to cultivate. The need for approval is often rooted in a fear of rejection or judgment. It's natural to want to be liked, but when that desire becomes a driving force behind your decisions and actions, it prevents you from developing genuine self-respect. And here's the truth: respect from others starts with respect for yourself. When you are confident in who you are, when you value your own opinions and choices, you project an energy that commands respect. People are drawn to those who are self-assured, who don't need constant validation to feel good about themselves. Respecting yourself means you don't need the approval of others to confirm your worth. In professional environments, seeking approval can also be a career-limiting habit. Colleagues and supervisors respect those who are self-reliant and who can make decisions independently. If you're always looking for validation before taking action, it may seem like you lack initiative or are too dependent on others for guidance. Over time, this behavior can lead to missed opportunities for advancement or leadership roles. The people who rise in their careers are often those who take risks, make independent decisions, and trust their abilities to succeed. Approval-seeking behavior, on the other hand, can make you seem unsure, hesitant, which are not qualities that inspire respect or leadership potential. Seeking approval is a habit that erodes respect because it reflects a lack of confidence and self-assurance. When you look to others for validation, you undermine your own value and worth. To earn and maintain respect, it's essential to trust yourself, make decisions independently, and remain authentic to who you are. The more you rely on your own judgment and stay true to your principles, the more others will respect you. Let go of the need for approval and focus instead on building your own self-respect, knowing that when you respect yourself, others will naturally follow suit. Failure to maintain proper boundaries is one of the most common habits that lead to a loss of respect in both personal and professional relationships. Boundaries are essential in establishing the lines of respect, responsibility, and mutual understanding. When someone fails to establish or respect boundaries, they invite chaos, confusion, and even resentment from those around them. Boundaries create a sense of order and clarity in how we interact with others, and without them, relationships can become imbalanced, leading to frustration and ultimately a loss of respect. At the core, boundaries are about defining what is acceptable and unacceptable in terms of behavior, communication, and expectations. When you fail to maintain these boundaries, people may start to take advantage of you, either consciously or unconsciously. Without boundaries, you might find yourself in situations where others impose their needs, desires, or expectations onto you, and because there is no clear line, you may end up feeling overwhelmed or resentful. This lack of clarity can lead to a breakdown in respect because people no longer see you as someone who commands your space and energy with authority. In personal relationships, the failure to maintain boundaries often manifests in overcommitment or constantly putting others' needs ahead of your own. When you are always available, always saying yes to every request or demand, you send the message that your time, energy, and personal space are not valuable. Over time, people may begin to expect this constant availability, and rather than appreciating your efforts, they may start to take them for granted. This can erode their respect for you because they no longer see you as someone who values your own needs. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself, they are about teaching others how to treat you. If you don't set limits, people may not even realize they are overstepping because you haven't made it clear where the line is. Professionally, failing to establish boundaries can lead to burnout and a lack of respect from colleagues or supervisors. For example, if you allow work to bleed into your personal time without any clear limits, others may start to expect that you are always on call. They may assign you more tasks than are reasonable because you haven't set the boundary that your time outside of work is off limits. This can lead to a situation where you are overwhelmed with responsibilities, and when you finally push back, it may come as a shock to others because they've come to expect that you will always handle everything. Maintaining boundaries in the workplace is essential not only for your own well-being, but also for ensuring that others respect your time and capabilities. Another consequence of failing to maintain boundaries is that it can foster dependency. In relationships where there are no clear boundaries, one person may become overly dependent on the other, leading to an imbalance of power and respect. For instance, if you are always stepping in to solve someone else's problems or handling responsibilities that should be theirs, you may think you are being helpful, but you are actually enabling their dependency. Over time, they may come to expect this from you, and instead of respecting you for your efforts, they may start to see it as your role. This lack of boundaries not only diminishes their respect for you, but also prevents them from developing the self-reliance they need to grow. The absence of boundaries can also lead to resentment, both on your part and on the part of others. When you consistently allow others to overstep their bounds, whether by taking up too much of your time, energy, or resources, you may begin to feel taken advantage of. This can breed resentment because deep down you know that your needs are not being respected. On the other hand, those who rely on your lack of boundaries may start to resent you when you eventually push back or set limits, especially if those limits weren't clearly established from the beginning. Clear, consistent boundaries prevent these misunderstandings and help maintain mutual respect. Respecting others' boundaries is just as important as maintaining your own. When you overstep someone else's boundaries, even if unintentionally, you risk damaging the relationship and losing their respect. For instance, constantly contacting someone outside of agreed-upon hours, offering unsolicited advice, or intruding on their personal space can make them feel uncomfortable or disrespected. People respect those who recognize and honor their boundaries because it shows that you understand and respect their autonomy. By being mindful of others' boundaries, you not only protect the relationship but also reinforce a sense of mutual respect. Establishing boundaries also plays a crucial role in self-respect. When you set clear boundaries and stick to them, you are affirming your value and reinforcing that you are deserving of respect. It's a form of self-care that shows others you know your worth. People respect those who respect themselves because it signals strength, confidence, and clarity. On the other hand, if you constantly allow others to overstep your boundaries, it suggests that you do not value yourself enough to protect your space and energy. When others see that you respect yourself, they are more likely to mirror that respect in their interactions with you. Maintaining boundaries requires assertiveness and clarity. It's not enough to silently hope that others will recognize your limits. You must communicate them clearly and enforce them consistently. This doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational, but rather being firm and direct about your needs and expectations. For example, if you need time to yourself after work, make that clear to those around you and don't waver on it. If someone asks you to take on more than you can handle, be honest about your limitations. This kind of assertiveness garners respect because it shows that you are confident enough to stand up for yourself while still being considerate of others' needs. Failing to maintain proper boundaries can have a profound impact on how others perceive and respect you. Boundaries are essential for creating healthy, balanced relationships in which both parties feel valued and respected. Without them, you risk overextending yourself, fostering dependency, and creating an environment where resentment and confusion thrive. To earn and maintain respect, it is crucial to establish clear boundaries and communicate them effectively. By doing so, you protect your own well-being and signal to others that you value yourself, which in turn invites the respect you deserve. One of the most damaging habits that can erode respect is the failure to take personal responsibility. When people avoid accountability and shift blame onto others, it creates an environment of mistrust, frustration, and ultimately a loss of respect. Personal responsibility is the cornerstone of integrity, and without it, others will begin to see you as unreliable or even dishonest. Taking ownership of your actions, choices, and mistakes is essential in building and maintaining the respect of those around you, whether in personal relationships or professional settings. When you fail to take responsibility for your actions, it signals that you are unwilling or unable to confront your own shortcomings. Everyone makes mistakes and nobody is perfect. What separates those who earn respect from those who lose it is how they handle those mistakes. If you are constantly deflecting blame, finding excuses, or pointing fingers at others, people will start to view you as someone who cannot be trusted to handle responsibility. They may begin to question your character, as avoiding responsibility often comes across as a lack of honesty and integrity. In contrast, owning up to your mistakes, acknowledging where you went wrong, and making efforts to correct the situation are the traits that earn respect because they demonstrate maturity and accountability. In the workplace, this failure to take responsibility can manifest in various ways. For instance, when a project doesn't go as planned, it's easy to point out external factors or other people's mistakes as the reason for failure. However, leaders and colleagues respect those who are willing to acknowledge their role in the outcome. If you constantly pass the blame to your team or circumstances beyond your control, it not only damages your reputation but also undermines your leadership potential. People respect leaders who are willing to take the heat when things go wrong, even if they weren't entirely at fault. This willingness to accept responsibility strengthens your credibility and earns the trust and respect of your peers and subordinates. Personal responsibility also plays a significant role in relationships. In any partnership or friendship, there will be conflicts and misunderstandings. How you handle these moments of tension will often determine the level of respect you maintain in the relationship. If you are always quick to blame the other person or refuse to acknowledge your part in a disagreement, it creates a rift that can erode trust and respect. On the other hand, when you are willing to reflect on your actions, admit when you've made a mistake, and take responsibility for the outcome, you reinforce the respect within the relationship. People admire those who have the humility to admit their faults and the strength to make amends. Avoiding responsibility also limits your personal growth. When you refuse to take ownership of your actions, you miss out on valuable opportunities to learn from your mistakes. Growth and development come from recognizing where you went wrong and taking steps to improve. Those who consistently avoid responsibility are often stagnant in their personal and professional lives because they fail to acknowledge the areas where they need to grow. Respect is often given to those who are constantly improving, learning, and evolving. By taking responsibility, you show that you are committed to bettering yourself, and this dedication to growth earns the respect of others. Furthermore, taking personal responsibility empowers you. When you take ownership of your actions, you reclaim control over your life and circumstances. Instead of feeling like a victim of external forces, you understand that you have the power to influence outcomes. This mindset shift is not only important for personal success, but also for gaining the respect of others. People respect those who take control of their lives, who don't make excuses, and who face challenges head-on. When you consistently take responsibility, you project confidence and self-assurance, which are qualities that naturally command respect. On the contrary, the habit of blaming others or external circumstances is often rooted in fear of being judged, fear of failure, or facing the consequences of your actions. However, avoiding responsibility doesn't protect you from judgment, it often invites more scrutiny. People are more likely to respect someone who admits their mistakes than someone who always has an excuse. By avoiding responsibility, you may think you're protecting your image, but in reality, you are damaging your reputation and losing respect in the process. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to be perfect or never make mistakes. It's about owning the impact of your choices and actions, even when they lead to unintended consequences. People who consistently take responsibility are viewed as dependable and trustworthy. They are seen as individuals who can be counted on to handle challenges and setbacks with grace and accountability. This builds a strong foundation of respect because others know that no matter what happens, you will be honest and transparent about your role in any situation. It's also important to note that personal responsibility is not just about owning up to mistakes, but also about taking initiative and being proactive. Respect is earned when people see you taking responsibility for your own success and not waiting for others to create opportunities for you. If you are constantly blaming circumstances for your lack of progress or waiting for someone else to fix your problems, you appear passive and dependent. On the other hand, when you take responsibility for your goals, ambitions, and outcomes, you demonstrate leadership qualities that naturally command respect. People respect those who take control of their lives and actively pursue their objectives. In relationships, personal responsibility fosters mutual respect. When both parties are willing to take responsibility for their actions, communication becomes clearer, conflicts are resolved more effectively, and trust deepens. In contrast, when one or both people in a relationship avoid responsibility, it leads to misunderstandings, unresolved issues, and resentment. Taking responsibility is a way of showing respect for the other person as well, because it acknowledges that your actions have an impact on them, and you are willing to be accountable for that. Failing to take personal responsibility is a habit that erodes respect because it signals a lack of integrity, maturity, and reliability. Whether in personal relationships or professional settings, people respect those who are accountable for their actions and decisions. Taking responsibility not only builds trust and respect from others, but also empowers you to grow, learn, and take control of your own life. By embracing accountability, you demonstrate the strength of character that earns lasting respect, while avoiding responsibility only leads to mistrust, frustration, and a damaged reputation. Respect is something that must be earned through intentional actions and habits. Failing to listen to others, seeking constant validation, disregarding boundaries, and avoiding personal responsibility are habits that will inevitably erode the respect others have for you. Respect is built on a foundation of integrity, self-awareness, and consideration for those around you. When you actively listen, show confidence without needing constant approval, maintain clear boundaries, and take responsibility for your actions, you command the respect of others naturally. Cultivating these habits not only enhances how others perceive you, but also strengthens your self-respect, leading to more meaningful and respectful relationships in every area of life.